Back in 1999, I was a total Pokemon fanatic. Anything Pokemon, I was all about. The cards, the anime, and of course, the games. But everybody wanted to know when Nintendo was going to bring Pokemon to the Nintendo 64. But instead of the RPG elements that we got from Pokemon on the Game Boy, we got something very different as our very first Pokemon adventure on a home console. And of course, that is Pokémon Snap. Pokémon Snap is a photography sim that stars Pokemon. Essentially go through the natural habitats of different varieties of Pokemon. You got your volcano, you got your waterfall, loads of different options for you to snap your favorite Pokemon photos. But we're not here to talk about the game itself, we're here to talk about the Pokémon Snap Station. What the heck was it? Where could you find it? Well, Pokémon Snap Stations were exclusive, at least in North America, to Blockbuster locations, and they are these big, gigantic, incredibly heavy pieces of machinery that has a Nintendo 64, a TV, and a printer built right into it. So what you needed to do was go up to the front counter, give them $3, and they would exchange that for a smart card. That smart card would be used to print off photos of either the Pokémon Snap demo that was inside of the unit, or, and this is the best part, you could bring your own game with your own snapshots you took at home, put it right into a slot right there on the front of the Pokémon Snap Station, and you could boot into your copy of the game and print your photos that you took. It was mind-blowing. We had nothing like this back in 1999, and I was obsessed from the very first time I saw it. So put the smart card in, put inside your cartridge, and find the photos you want to print. So here we are 20 plus years later, and new Pokemon Snap is on the horizon for the Nintendo Switch. So here's what we're gonna do. We are going to attempt to convert this Pokemon Snap Station into a new Pokemon Snap Station. So the idea is to use as much of this original hardware that we can. So we want it to display on the CRT TV, we want it to use the original Nintendo 64 controller, and most importantly, we want this thing to print. I mean, what's the point of a Pokemon Snap Station that doesn't print? So without further ado, let's open this bad boy up, see what makes it tick, and start the conversion. Alright, here we are inside the Pokemon Snap Station, and if you've never seen this before, there's a lot to this thing, so let's take a look. First thing to notice is that this is not the original TV that came in the Snap Station. That one broke. So this one does fit, but I needed to prop it up, and that's why I'm using 3DS cases. That's typically not something you see, but hey, if it works, it works. But everything else here, let's take a look into a little bit more depth. So right below that, we have the printer itself, which is really fascinating. You have your paper compartment. You essentially load the ink on the right-hand side, which I believe is proprietary ink. You can't buy this stuff anymore, so once you're out of ink and paper, you're kind of out of luck with this printer. So it's a really cool looking printer, and one of the things that makes this thing interesting is that it actually connects directly to the TV and the Nintendo 64. So on the front, you have a yellow RCA connector, that's going to be your video pass-through, and that's connected to the Nintendo 64. So that's how the printer gets the signal from the TV and helps you print your stickers. So we are going to use that so we can convert what it's connecting to the Nintendo 64 to something that works with the Nintendo Switch instead. But it's really, really cool. And then below that, we have some really interesting stuff here too. This is something that you've probably never seen before, and it's a custom board that connects directly to the Nintendo 64's cartridge slot that converts it from one game to two games. So you have one game at the bottom, and that's going to be the demo cart that all the Snap Stations have, so you can just play the game if you don't have your own cart. And then it has an adapter so you can slide in a second game like I showed you earlier in this video. Really, really cool stuff. So if you want to bring your own cart, that's how this works. There's some other custom hardware in here that essentially turns off the system after a certain time limit. We're not going to be using that for this build, but still kind of interesting. And then the printer itself actually connects via a controller port on the Nintendo 64 too. So something, again, you've probably never seen. It's kind of interesting. And of course, you have the controller that hooks up at the front of the system that's connected to the Snap Station that's plugged in directly to the Nintendo 64. So the other thing we need to do is find a way to convert that controller to the Nintendo Switch, because we want to use the original Nintendo 64 controller on new Pokemon Snap for that authentic experience. So we're going to do what we can to get that going too. So that's the Snap Station for the most part. let's see what we can start doing. All right, we're a day later here. We have the first thing we need for the system, and that is a Hyperkin Nintendo Switch to Nintendo 64 controller adapter. This thing is a godsend. It's exactly what we need. It's a USB connection that goes directly into the Nintendo Switch's dock and then connects to a Nintendo 64 controller. So this should work exactly how we needed it to work. So that's one thing down. All right, we have the last thing we need, and this is a HDMI to RCA video adapter. So this is essentially going to take the Nintendo Switch's HDMI connection, it's going to convert it to a standard definition signal and allow us to use the standard RCA red, yellow, and white connections. So we can hook that into the printer, and then we can get a signal going into the printer from the Switch that is then sent over to the TV. It does require a power source, but lucky for us, that power source is also USB, and this should work with the Nintendo Switch dock. So we should just be able to power it by connecting it to one of the USB connections on the dock. So there we go. This is everything I think we need. So without further ado, let's get it going. So here it is, the completed new Pokémon Snap Station, complete with a Nintendo Switch inside, fully functioning, with the original Nintendo 64 controller still working, and of course, that beautiful image right there on the CRT TV. It's very difficult to get a good photo of a CRT TV. If you've ever tried, you know what I'm talking about. So the images you see are not as crisp as what they look like in real life, but this thing is totally playable. The controls are actually better than what I was imagining they would be. In fact, these controls are almost identical to what I remember in Pokémon Snap on the Nintendo 64. There's really no major differences here. So if you are, for some reason, crazy like I am and want to use a Nintendo 64 controller on this game, yeah, you might have to make some concessions, but for the most part, it sort of works. All right. And of course, I had to do one more thing, and that is make custom smart cards. That's right, new Pokémon Snap smart cards that actually work inside the new Pokémon Snap Station. So if you take one, put it right here in the card slot, it actually loads up a credit. Now there is no way to get the smart card reader to interface with the Nintendo Switch to print like it did with the Nintendo 64, but luckily there is a way around this. And the way around this is actually bypassing the smart card reader completely and going directly to the printer's control panel. Like I said before, the Nintendo Switch is hooked up directly to this printer. So if we slide it open, we can actually get into the printer's memory, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take our photos. We have 4 photos. We have a nice Bidoof, looking super happy here. Hi there, Bidoof. Next up, we have a Meganium, which of course is kind of one of the mascots to new Pokemon Snap, so of course I had to include that one in here as well. A very sleepy Scorbunny, which I loved taking this photo. And finally, my favorite, we have Pichu and Grookey. This is my favorite photo I've taken so far in new Pokemon Snap. So here are the photos that we are going to print, and as you can see, it is indeed printing. And keep in mind, I did speed this up. This process takes about a minute to do. But here it is, finally, what I have been essentially working towards now for the past couple weeks. A fully functional printing Pokémon Snap Station that functions with a Nintendo Switch for new Pokémon Snap. It plays, it prints, it's exactly what I wanted it to be. This brings back a lot of nostalgia for me, and making this project was an absolute blast. I am just floored that this worked out as well as I wanted it to work out. I know there's other options to print your stickers. I know Fujifilm is coming out with their own option too, but still, for me, This brings back the memories of going to Blockbuster when I was a kid and doing this with my original game. Now, if you want a set of these stickers and even one of these smart cards, you should follow us over at Twitter. I'm going to be doing a giveaway this weekend where we're giving a set of these away. So hopefully I find you guys over there, and thank you for watching my video. If you like this, let me know in the comments below. Consider giving us a like and a subscribe. It helps us grow, and I'll be back with more content very soon. Thanks for watching.
Wow.